So you might say, well, like, how do I know what those can do? I mean, OC, how did you know there was a charret? How did you know there's a length? How did you know there's a substring? Oh my God, where do I get all that information from? All right, if you haven't done it yet, something you're going to want to do is check out what's called the API. The API, you can just Google Java 7 API or something like that. That's usually what I Google because I just never make a bookmark. And so that'll bring you to this page, which is Oracle's page on the Java system. And things are organized in these things called packages. If you look on the upper left here, there's these packages, and oh my gosh, there's lots of packages. There's so many predefined objects. Java essentially made a library up. And this is the library of Java. And things are separated into different areas. Some of the most basic ones can be seen here. Java.lang, this is a common one that is imported every time. So Java.lang has things like string in it, to do stuff. It's also got your system out print line information in it. It's got everything you need already in it. So if you want to start using a lot of the stuff that already comes, you've been using the java.lang package and just haven't noticed it. Okay, and so java.lang it automatically comes with any program that you start. There's also a library for applets. We'll talk more about those later. AWTs for graphics. Swing is more current graphics things. Java.net's for network communications. Util, that's where you're going to find things like scanner and random that we're going to talk about. And then if you're going to be working on database things and other stuff that requires XML, there's in fact ones for XML. Okay, and those are just some. Obviously, look at all these. Oh my God, there's a ton. Okay. But you can see that they're still basically defined in the same idea of AWT, applet, langs in here and things like that. Okay, so how did I know what their string was? Well, a string's part of the java.lang package, so I could go up here, click java.lang, and look up string down here. Okay, some people don't like doing that. You could go click all classes what here's forever. But, I mean, gosh, if you're going to be doing that, look how much you're going to be scrolling down. Look at all the objects Java gives me automatically. There are so many. I mean, sometimes you don't know the package something is, so you have to do this. So I'm going to prove to you QRST, a string, okay? So here's a string, and here's how the API works. So what we have here is we have first a description of the class. You're probably not so interested in this at first. Tells us a little bit about how it was defined, what the programmer's ideas were in some of this, and gives you a lot more information as defined by like specification and things like that. The biggest thing you want to look for is down here at the method summary. So here's where all the methods are. What they tell you is, one over here is the method names. Okay, so this second column is the name. So there's that charret method, and here's how I knew I had to provide a number. Now that does say int index. No, you do not put int index. I mean, when I got charret, you didn't see me say int. Int index equals 0 here. You literally just provide the integer of what you want there, okay? And in fact, if you're unsure how a method works, if you ever click on it, it tells you here. And it says returns a char value at the specified index. So when I put 0 in here, it knew that that's the index I was looking for. If I put 22 in here, it would know to look at 22. And what else it told me was what to expect back from it. And what I expected back was a character. That's why when I printed this out, when I did system.out.println name.charret0, I got an O. I knew I was going to get a character from that. Name.substring, that returns a string. How did I know that? Well, I knew it because I've done it long enough, but also if you go down here to substring, and you'll see that there are two substrings. Talk about that real quick in a second. Here's the one we use, the one that had both an integer, comma, another integer. And this one returned a string. So that gave me another string that I could do stuff with. So I could literally cut that string up and do different things with. So there's lots of methods here. If you ever want to get the index of a character, you want to find the first index of, the M in that OC demand, right there it is. It'll provide an integer back of that. So the way I would read this is I would call index of, provide the character I'm looking for, and it returns the index within the string of the first occurrence of the specified character. So if I want to find the first index of the M, I could system.out.println name.index of, and I could provide the I. Okay. And so what I would do then is I'd run it. Oh, and there is no I. Duh. So it gave me a -1. That's its default value. Hey, you didn't find this. That's not a really good way to teach this. How about I find an M, actually? So I run this now, try to find an M. Finds it at position 6, which is where we knew the M was. Right? So you can do that for all the different kind of objects there are. There's lots and lots and lots and lots of cool things you can do. So a lot of times when you're looking to do something, it's always a good idea to see maybe is there a method already implemented that does what I want it to do. Sometimes there aren't, sometimes there are. They didn't program everything because, if they did, then this would be a universal programming system that we wouldn't even need be. We'd have robots for this. Okay? So here, string is a very common object that you're going to use. Okay? So let's take a look at another object that you might use. Another one that's common is the random object. All right, so let's go ahead and just get rid of some of this stuff here, and let's make the random object. So the random object you set up just like a scanner object. So random number equals a new random, but I don't put anything inside of here. Okay. You might see how my compiler's kind of already said that there's a problem here. Okay, can't find this random thing you're talking about. Boy, I didn't have to do anything for string. When I wanted a string, I just said string losers equals losers. And I had a string called losers that stores the string losers. But I have a problem with random. Here's the thing. We talked about the API, okay? And in the API, there are all these libraries. Look at all these packages inside of here, okay? If Java were to import those every time, it would automatically bog down your machine every time because it's like, oh, I better import everything. I better have everything there. It'd be like going to a library and saying, I need some information on William Shakespeare. So instead of picking out the book you need, you go to every shelf and take every book off. That's not practical. So what Java decided to do is allow you to pick up books that you need when you need them. Okay, so to do that, if you want to pick up a book that you need when you need it, you can import it. And you use an import statement to do this. String's part of the java.lang. It's automatically input. That book, it's like you walk in the library, somebody hands you that book right when you walk in. So strings, don't worry about them. They are already part of what you're dealing with. If you want to use something that isn't by default part of the java.lang package and you still want to use it, you got to do an import. The way it works is before you say your public class statement, you say import, and then you say Java. That's the basic Java packages that we are looking for. So it's a Java library in this case. And you want java.util, because that's where random is found at, and I want to import random. And so that now imports random for me. Java now knows I'm pulling that book off the shelf, and the compiler says, hey, I understand now. You're going to be importing that book. So I know what the random object is and how to use it. Okay? If you're not sure what to import, the good rule of thumb is you're like, man, I want that random, but I forget what to do. So go look it up here in the all classes if you need to. You can do a find here. It's kind of actually helps you out a lot. So I want a random, so there's random. And if you look on the top right here, it tells you the most bottom one of these statements, which tells you it's an inheritance tree, tells you what to import. So this told me right here, import java.util.random. And so that's how I knew to put java.util.random there. And now I can use random. Okay. And if I wanted to use random, I could again look up how to use it down here. I have, this isn't as big a string. I have a whole bunch of things that I can use. For instance, if I want to get a new integer, I can make next int here. And this returns a next pseudo random. Don't worry why pseudo. That's more important later on. Which gives us a random number that we can put in here. So I could actually put in a next whatever I want in here. Okay, kind of cool. I can put in different numbers here and it'll all work. In fact, I can do next int an n and it will randomly generate a number between 0 and the number I'm looking for. That one's good. I like that. So let's try that. So let's say x is equal to number dot next int, gotta spell that wrong, next int 10. And then I'll system out print line that for us. So that hopefully should make a random number, assign it to x, and then I print it out. I run it now, I get 4. If it's random, it should be different every time. 4, 3, 9, 6, 9, 7, 1, 1, 5, 0, 6, 9. Wait, why did I get 0? I get 0. First 10 numbers, starting at 0. So it goes from 0 to 9. So right now, you'll never get 10. If I want to get 10, then what I would do is I could put like a +1 here. That will shift the whole range up 1. So if you think of a number line, the number line right now is all numbers between 0 and 9 are possible, inclusive of 0 and 9. When I do +1, I'm now shifting the low end up by 1 and the high end up by 1. So I'm shifting it now from 1 to 10. So I won't have 0 as a possibility anymore. So now when I run it, I can get 8, there's 10, 1, 10, 10, 6, 8, 5, 2, and you can keep doing this, copy paste this if you want to see it sometime, and you'll never get 0 again. If you want to increase, that, you can increase it, you can decrease it, you can do whatever you want there, and that's how you get a random number. If you want a next floating point value, I mean, I don't have a variable signed up for that, but it doesn't mean I can't just print a random one out. I can say number dot next double, and then I could put like, well, let's just see what it does when I do that. 0.86, 0.14. Looks like random numbers between 0 and 1. Okay. Not inclusive of 1, FYI. All right, so it's going to give me random numbers in that direction. Okay. So that's the random class. So that's pretty much how you use the random class. And the random class is part of the java.util. All right, java.util. And that's how you use objects, folks. Objects, the biggest things you got to remember is that objects, you can see that you start them just like you do a primitive type. Their names generally start with capital letters like string and randoms. You create a reference for them, something to reference that object by, like Lolzer's number, Bob, whatever the heck you want. Follows the same naming conventions as primitive types could be. And then strings, you can just put in the string there. Most other objects, you're going to be putting new and whatever the object name is. You know, you did that for scanner as well. So when I said scanner in equals a new scanner, system.in, I do this. As long as it's not a string, you pretty much do the same thing. Oh, wait, that red thing. Oh, that's right. I got to import that. So I need import java.util.scanner. And there's our scanner, and it's all happy again. Okay? So that was a quick lesson on a few objects that you might want to use and the API documentation. The API is your friend, so please use it whenever you possibly can. It helps you find out things you need to use. All right? Okay, catch you here next time for probably a look at applets, and we're going to see what we can do with an applet and make it cute and fuzzy and happy and make you all feel like you can do some graphical stuff. All right, talk to you guys in a while. See ya.